welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise, and this is the first stream of 2025, which is a year that hopefully isn't going to suck as badly as 2024 did. As I mentioned in the Discord, I'm working on sort of a greatest hits of 2024 thing, which turns out to be, there's a lot to go through. I did not realize how much I fucking talked on the internet last year, because they're like, okay, I took like maybe 3 weeks off out of 52. That's 3 hours a week, and so that's like roughly a full week of content to wade through to choose the best stuff. And yeah, so at the moment, my compilation, as I'm trying to edit it down, just sort of coming up with the best stuff for every month, DaVinci Resolve tells me it's like I've got about 7 hours. It's a 7-hour video if I were to just publish it raw, and I haven't been through everything I need to go through yet. So yeah, but it is coming along. I was reminded of a number of absolutely classic moments, and so that's something to look forward to. Also on the subject of things to look forward to, I think I've got some good stuff to look at this week. Yes, my YouTube recs were quite productive. How's everybody doing, chat? We've got, Francesca Fiorentini rather. Bonsoir, had a debate with Cenk, which apparently got very heated, and I'm always getting requests for more the Young TERFs related stuff, so I thought that might be pretty good. That might be a good thing to do. We've also, apparently at one point in this, Cenk says that MAGA is more welcoming. It's like, welcoming to who exactly? Who are they welcoming? And who, perhaps, are they less welcoming of? But we've also got some other bullshit. We've got David Pacman, Lone Liberal, destroys Tim Pool and friends in brutal 5-on-1 debate. We've also got, let me see. An interview with Graham Linehan. And the Serfs has Kyle Kulinski on to ask why the Young TERFs have been catering to right-wingers. But I'm kind of leaning towards this debate. It's a longer one. Hey, River Rune, how you doing? Oh, and by the way, check out the Hyperpolyglotting Discord to see, I swear, the thumbnail for today's Hyperpolyglotting stream, that is not something I chose. That is just what YouTube's algorithm put together. And it really demonstrates why perhaps you should not go on the internet and have a green screen that projects the word fool right by your head. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna look at this heated debate. At least it's long, but I have a feeling it could be quite worthwhile. Okay, I have to say, I love her opening sequence here. That's very nicely done. Good music, too. But how long? Okay, here we go.
Surprise! It's me, Francesca Fiorentini. Welcome to the Bitchuation Room podcast live stream thing. Thank you so much for being here. This is our weird in-between show. All of the Tuesdays keep lining up on holidays. I hope everyone had a good Christmas if you celebrate, or a good first day of Hanukkah if you celebrate.
I'm gonna skip it.
We're not gonna have a show on New Year's Day, so all things are all crazy, but we will.
Yeah, okay.
It's like it's not an understatement to say that I've lost sleep over what's been going on. That I've been really upset, angry, and like wounded, if that makes sense to you. I have also refrained from tweeting at you, Cenk. I've refrained from doing videos.
See, I mean, we'd watched the Hassan thing on it, but I feel like Hassan is never going to really go in fully because, I mean, it's his uncle. And not everybody's relationships with their more extended family are like mine. Yes, I've just skipped past the...
Help you without your presence. I've refrained from misrepresenting you. But man, on the inside, it's been rough. So I do want to ask you, I feel like we are on the precipice of a really perilous time of true authoritarianism coming to the United States. And someone like you, who has been such a leader on the progressive left.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that maybe if you've identified somebody as having been a leader on whatever the progressive left exactly is, and this is where we've ended up, that's a sign that maybe that wasn't a good move to have that person as a leader on the progressive left.
Has such a massive role to play in this moment as a stalwart of resistance. So many of these centrists.
See, I feel like just from the way that this has been described, at least in the title and the description, I feel like this is a soft serve that goes hard.
Kowtowing to the right. And then I see you on the same stages with, and in the same rooms with, the right-wingers who are mouthpieces of said authoritarianism. And I don't believe that you are actually pushing back. Instead...
Well, yeah, I mean, God, she's pulling some serious punches here. Because, yeah, no, he's not pushing back. He's been pushing with. And that's not a recent thing. That's, like, started a while back now.
And I think there's a project here. You're trying to find points of agreement. So what are you doing, and why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay, here we go. This should be interesting. Look at the side eye he's giving here.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, that you're having me on as opposed to talking about me and raging, etc.
Like I'm doing. Yeah.
Without actually getting into the full conversation. So,
yeah, because, and let me just be clear. A, he's never heard of me, wouldn't have me. B, I don't see a point.
First, let me
in having this conversation.
I get why people are concerned. So you've seen this pattern a number of times, so people think, oh, this is the beginning of the pattern, and we know how that ends, right?
Well, yeah, no, this is the middle of the pattern, actually, because the beginning of the pattern was when Anna Transphobian, everybody's least favorite, apart from Ben Glebe, who will always have the title of biggest scumbag on TYT, apart from the guy whose decision it was to platform the motherfucker. But the thing is, so she goes in 11 months' time from pointing out that pretending to be angry about the words birthing people is a right-wing dog whistle, to embracing it, and twice trying to start shit on Twitter with it and getting very mild pushback. And Cenk does not, do anything to push back there. And in fact, like, one of the main trans people working there ends up having to resign in protest, and he just absolutely slags them off completely. And if I'm wrong about the pronouns there, somebody please do correct me. I don't even remember the name at this point. So, and I had not heard of this person before this, and have hardly heard of them afterwards. So, if I'm getting that wrong, but instead of saying, "Wait a second, that's a sign that we fucked up," he just got extremely nasty. So, I mean, this isn't the beginning of the pattern. The fact that the fact that you've got, like, anti-transphobia and, like, making nice with fucking Dave Rubin, we're already in the middle of the pattern. The opening has already been played. We're in the middle game here.
So you see
the position set up.
Tucker Carlson once, you say, well, okay, he's defending our side or finding a point of agreement, whatever, right? But then next thing you know, he agrees with Tucker again and again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. See, I mean, it's interesting. This has happened at an interesting time, I have to say, because of the whole insurance CEO perforation situation, where you do have the audiences of a lot of these chuds actually pushing back against their favorite chuds, saying, wait a second, why are you, like, all broken up about and trying to claim it's just the revolutionary left who's kind of not crying about this CEO asshole? We fucking hate him too. We're actually kind of cool with what happened too. Now, in that situation, where there is a wedge between these grifters and their audiences, at least a segment of their audiences, kind of trying to drive that wedge further and say, you know, this is just an example of the fact that these guys are not actually on your side. You're supporting people who are making you miserable just because they validate the absolute shittiest things that you believe, and trying to, you know, and trying to drive that wedge with the audiences, not with the and not trying to, like, buddy up to the grifters. The grifters are going to do what they're doing because that's what they're getting fucking paid to do. It's their fucking career. And there's no way that they would end up making more money if they were to end up switching to the right side of history. But you can look to take away their audience. She was not actually, I mean, she didn't even claim to have been. What she did was she quote tweeted the director of the Department of Health of Massachusetts, who is referring to statistics on mortality in birthing people. And she pretended to be outraged over this shit. That was the whole thing. But okay.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's talking about how bad the left is and how.
Okay, so this is literally the thing that he's describing what's already happened so far.
You know, and my favorite example about how the forest fires in California started because the fire departments allowed gay people to join.
Right. Wild.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think you would say that about gay people. I could see Anna is suggesting that that's something to do with trans people being, having the legal right to gender-affirming healthcare when they're incarcerated. I could see her doing that, but yeah.
Yeah, and Fran, we've seen this movie many times, and me especially as a Muslim, because Israel always finds collaborators and to come out and go, oh, look at this Muslim guy.
Yeah, you've got one on your fucking staff. Well, not a Muslim collaborator, just a regular ass Zionist asshole. Unless he's fired him, which I have not heard, but I mean, I'm not up on it. I wouldn't have that. Sorry about that. I used a lot of crushed red pepper on the calzones that I made, and some of it is still making me sneeze. Sorry about that. But, okay. I mean, he's got fucking Ben Glebe on there. Platforms a Zionist asshole to justify the genocide. That was one, I was reminded of this because I was going through the 2024, like, highlights to make this thing, and So I sat through quite a bit of that, and including some really, really creepy moments in there. But yeah, so he's already doing that.
He says Muslims are violent, and it is in their book, and it's all their fault, right? And one of those mouthpieces. So I understand, guys, that pattern exists, and so why people would be concerned the minute.
It's interesting that he's using that example, and not, say, I don't know, an example related to slagging off trans people, which he has done, which he has been quite happy to countenance when anti-transphobian's been doing it.
Seems like you're taking the first step there, but it is possible to not do that pattern, and we are not doing that pattern.
I mean, well, which part of that pattern are you described a couple of steps there, Cenk. First was finding things to agree with far-right grifters. Been doing that for a few months now. Slagging off leftists. You've been doing quite a bit of that, actually, lately. And then moving on to slagging off trans people. Been doing that for a few months now. So the pattern is there, actually. We're seeing the pattern. The pattern's been around so long that, like, things could have been sown with it.
There's massive differences there, right? So they let go of all their positions. We've let go of none of our positions. And people think this is
well, I mean, what does that mean exactly? That they've let go of none of their positions? Because, okay, now help me out, chat. I don't really follow TYT. But my impression was when anti-transphobian did the transphobian thing that got her the name that I gave her, that was a new thing and not something that and not something that people expected of them. So that would seem to be abandoning a position, or at the very least taking a position that had not previously been their public stance.
But apparently, as you know, I've been battling what I call the far left for years now.
Okay, so you admit it. You started out, the bit that you said was like the part 2 of your little pattern is where you started out. Like, well, I don't know, maybe this is the freeze frame, but look at Francesca's eyes. Look at how, I mean, her eyes are like rolling into the back of her head.
So I think that's a perfectly fine area of disagreement to have within a movement. I know that some people think no, we're not.
Well, it's very easy to say that because he hasn't actually given a specific thing to disagree with. He's just sort of said he slags off the far left, whatever he calls the far left. But that's not really a disagreement. There would be disagreements leading to that, but you would have to actually say what those disagreements are about.
Not allowed to disagree, and any disagreement is heresy, right? And that's a core thing that we'll probably discuss here today, right?
Oh, we're doing that one. He's doing a freeze peach. He's gonna say, oh, he's a daring heretic because they're doing like fucking transphobic shit and they've done some racism.
That's one of the issues. And so now in terms of, so why am I doing it, or how did it come about? So how it came about is when I was doing that protest run against Biden, I went on all the shows I possibly could, left wing, right wing, etc. And on the right wing shows, I was expecting what I always get from right wing, which is the Republicans are right, and you guys are all evil, and no points of agreement, just a bunch of robots, right? And what I started to see was they're not as robotic as we thought they were, right? And so there was like these flag.
Wait, so what do you mean? So he's saying that he found points of agreement, and that means that they're better than he thought? I mean, surely that means he's worse than we should have had a right to think.
Like, wait, they actually genuinely hate Mitch McConnell. That's interesting. I know why. I know.
That's not interesting. That only surprises people because there is this myth that the right is so disciplined and organized and they're all on the same side, and they aren't. It is a bin fire of the vanities on the right. They're at each other's throats, either quietly or loudly. It is a war of the egos. And I mean, it is at least as nasty as here. The difference is there's a whole bunch of money. And that money actually is something that they fight over. I remember the Steven Crowder thing. But it also means, because there's this money, and that money is there for people who can, like, convincingly promote whatever bullshit the money wants to be promoted, that also means that there's a certain amount of just financially induced message discipline. And that's all there is.
Because Trump said he was bad, right? But at the same time, there's a second reason. And I know that a lot of people on the left don't believe it, but I'm here to tell you that I've seen it with my own eyes. There are actual populists in those right-wing hills. And
this is why the word populist needs to die. Yes, the populists in those right-wing hills, they called Nazis, actually.
Don't like the establishment. They hate the establishment. Now, they don't have the same opinions with us on social issues, cultural issues, etc. And then
social issues, cultural, you know, like whether it's a good thing that cops get to just murder black people for no reason, and whether trans people should be allowed to exist with any level of dignity or at all. You know, little things like that.
They genuinely hate war. Now, if
no, they fucking don't.
There's war on Panama and they all go along, then I was wrong. Okay, so we'll get to that too. And so more and more.
Most of them went along when Trump went and bombed Syria. I don't remember all that many of them being pissed off that he continued the war against Yemen.
Charlie Kirk came on in the RNC, and this is the one that really threw me for a loop, and I couldn't believe it.
Okay, like, if you're one of the people who is supposed to be a major source of analysis, I mean, okay, anybody can be thrown for a loop sometimes. But if you're thrown for a loop by things that actually are pretty obvious if you think about them for a few minutes, then maybe you shouldn't be the one giving the analysis. Maybe you should be looking for better analysis. Like, I mean, I tend to think when it comes to analysis, it is probably a good idea to listen to the people who actually aren't surprised, the people who called it, rather than the people like, holy shit, how did this happen? And it's like, this thing is, people have been expecting it for years.
He started talking about how bad BlackRock was and how private equity is buying up all the homes in America. And I'm like, that's what we think. That's what we say.
Yeah, except when they say it, they're actually talking about Jews.
Right? And I couldn't believe that Charlie Kirk, of all people, was coming in our direction on that issue.
Like, why, you couldn't believe that? I have no trouble believing that, because the far right, like, I mean, there's a whole, like, thing around this. And it sounds superficially similar. This is exactly, I mean, how they do entryism, because they'll say things like this. And on the surface, it sounds like, oh, wow, we agree that these people are assholes and it shouldn't be happening. And then when you actually start to listen a little bit further, it turns out that they're taking it in a very different direction, and it's not that they actually want to, like, take away the power from the capitalists or something like that. No, they just use it as a way to, like, blame a Jewish world conspiracy or some shit.
And so I think their funding might have changed, to be honest. And so the right is not the monolith that we thought they are. And
who's
right
we?
Now, since
I didn't think they were.
Past their robotic establishment, they're in a state of kind of chaos. A chaos that's not so bad, in my opinion.
I haven't seen it. I pay fairly close attention to right-wing talking heads. Like, the closest thing I would say to anything that you could call chaos, and I wouldn't even call it that, is this little wedge that has been driven by the United CEO getting popped.
And you're seeing it today. Like, MAGA attacking Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. If they were a monolith and they were robots and they were a cult, that would never happen. Now, I haven't...
Wait, is he... Hey, Hail Satine. Is he saying he genuinely thought they were monolithic robots? I mean, it's like he's just telling on himself so bad here. Because, yeah, obviously, if you look at the grassroots, like the audiences of these grifters, rather than the grifters themselves, yeah, you will actually find a lot more varied views on some things anyway. But like, that's why you would try to drive a wedge between the grifters and their audiences, not why you try to cozy up to the grifters like fucking Charlie Kirk.
I agree with Elon and Vivek on that issue.
I was going to ask you, actually.
Yeah, but first of all, hey, there I am agreeing with Elon and Vivek. Why? Because they agree with us.
So this is about HB1 visas and allowing high-skilled professional immigrant workers who work in tech to.
Okay, and what exactly are they agreeing on, though? Like, okay, because the thing is, HB1 visas are bad. Not because they bring in, migrant workers and things like that. That's cool. No borders is my thing. But because it makes them into indentured servants. And in fact, if you look at the U.S. immigration law, it is all... In fact, immigration restrictions generally are pretty much always designed to make it easier to pay migrant workers less and fire them more. Fire them more easily. And so, yeah. So if somebody's saying, like, H-1B visa's bad... There's more than one way that they can mean that. They could mean get rid of the visas altogether, and don't bring these workers in, and fuck that. Or they could mean get rid of all the restrictions on these visas and just allow workers to come in and move around freely, like we allow capital to, like we allow rich people to. And that is almost certainly not the position that these guys would be taking.
To be allowed in, the MAGA base says that that's obviously immigration and they want to cut down on that. But Elon and Vivek, again, two millionaire and the richest man on earth, want that.
Yeah, they want that because they understand that the restrictions that attach to an H-1B visa turn people into indentured servants who are extremely disposable, who, if they get fired, immediately get deported. It's like the ideal workforce for assholes like this.
Does that not fly in the face of some of what you've been saying about the base and how the base is actually great and the base is great at populist ideas? One of those populist...
What the hell are populist ideas?
Ideas, Cenk, is mass deportations, is stopping any migration, is getting people out of this country.
Yeah, I mean, when they're saying they're against H-1B visas, it's not because they want to, be in solidarity with the workers who are getting screwed over by the terms of those visas. They just want to kick them out.
So it's a great question, and so that's why what's happening today is actually so interesting. Because, number one, are we allowed to agree with anyone on the other side? Elon said terrible things. He backed that crazy radical right-wing party in Germany, etc., right? But that doesn't mean he's wrong about these visas. We've had that position.
What does that mean? See, this is the sort of bullshit that you have to watch out for. This is why you always have to look at a position and see if it's fash-proof. Because you can say... H-1B, because saying that you're for, bringing in, technical experts from other countries or whatever, I mean, you can mean that in a number of ways. Just because you're for doing it on extremely burdensome terms does not mean that you're, like, in solidarity with those workers. Like, the reason fucking Ramaswamy and Elon Musk like these things is because it's the best for them. It's the best thing since slavery because they're totally disposable. They fire them, they get kicked out of the country. I mean, and if they owe them back wages, good luck collecting them because they're going to be on the other side of the fucking world.
Visas our whole lives, right? We agree with, or he has now come to agree with us. Same with Vivek. Now, but what's interesting is, so now MAGA, the populist base of MAGA... I mean,
this is so superficial. This is so superficial because, again, he's not actually asking what it means or why, and why matters. Because there is just a huge difference between working class solidarity and liking a program that screws workers.
Rebels against Elon. So number one, that shows that that my thesis that they will rebel against their leaders is true. Okay.
Wait. Like, where's the rebellion? I mean, there's no meaningful rebellion there. And just because they, a segment of them rebelled over the statements about H-1B visas does not mean that they're rebelling in what could at all be considered a good way. In fact, it appears that they're very much not. The debate is whether you have indentured servants or kick all of the foreigners out. Those are the terms of the debate. Neither of those positions is good.
Now, do I agree with them on this rebellion? I don't. But remember, just because they're populists doesn't mean they agree with us on everything. On social and cultural issues, we have massive disagreements. Massive.
Okay, when it comes to things like racism and whether trans people should be allowed to exist, it doesn't seem like the disagreements are so massive for you.
I'm looking for the agreements on the economically populist stuff. So on this one, they're anti-immigration, and so again, it's not a monolith. It's a little bit more complicated. But overall, the massive MAGA is anti-immigration.
No shit.
I obviously don't agree with them on that. I'm an immigrant, and I'm first generation. I wasn't even born here, right? So all this talk of deportations, and now this crazy thing that one of them came up with, denaturalizing people. That's just nuts.
Which it's worth noting isn't a new idea. John Ashcroft in the first Bush administration was floating that idea. Nothing came of it then, but they were talking about the idea of taking away the citizenship of people that they accused of terrorism.
Right. So, and I say that to their face in all the shows that I go on. I go, look, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. I think you're nuts on this, right? But now we do agree on some things: anti-war, anti-corruption, etc. Even if
they, so you agree on things that they don't agree on. And anti-corruption is one to watch out for, because the thing about corruption, it's another of those things, because corruption is kind of a weird term, because most of the most fucked up shit that goes on in this system is not corruption, at least within a conventional sense of the word, because corruption is when you break the rules of the system. And most of the worst shit is completely in keeping with the rules of the system. When you look at somebody who is specifically an anti-corruption campaigner, that can often be a red flag. There's one in Ireland. Her big thing was anti-corruption, and then she decided to get into politics. She'd been a journo for a while, and she went into politics as a Nazi.
I know, guys. I know Trump is massively corrupt, and they've been. So you know that what you just said is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anti-corruption, my ass. But within that chaos of the right wing, interesting, different coalitions can break out, as you're seeing today.
God. Okay, so now he's just talking about red-brown shit, except that he isn't red enough to really count as red.
These
pink-brown
coalitions within MAGA. So imagine if we had, this is really wild, right?
Oh God, it's really wild.
But you've got to take a first step to be able to get to this ultimate conclusion.
Oh God, we got to take a first step and then there's an ultimate conclusion. There's no way this is good.
Imagine if we had voting blocks that weren't strictly Republican or Democrat or strictly MAGA or not, and
that would be pointless.
We could then join the voting bloc, in this case with Vivek and Elon.
Who cares? Because there's you still only have the options that the system will allow. So.
And protect these visas, right?
But why is that? Why should that be the pull of the debate? Why should we be We should be actually pushing against them, but saying that the problem is they treat workers like shit. Our position, Like, protecting H-1B visas, that doesn't actually help the people who are getting screwed over while they're here on an H-1B visa, but terrified to do anything about it, because the minute they say union, they get fired and they get deported. We should not be, like, saying, keep the H-1B visas. We should be saying, there should be no restrictions on workers coming here, and they should simply, their rights as workers should be enforced the way, on equal terms with everybody else, because the only way that actually there's any kind of, that, workers from other countries end up getting paid less is because of the pressure that they're under, because of visa systems like this. Get rid of that and just say, yeah, just come on in. And, and enforce the minimum wage and enforce rules on working conditions and stuff like that, and union rights and stuff like that, and organize with them on equal terms and everything, and that goes away. This is not good, actually.
The populist right wing block and prevent a war. Again, those are like.
Which war have they prevented, Cenk? Which war have they even been seriously against?
Huge dreams.
I think it's sort of a deal with the devil either way. I do want to just step back. I want to step back from the news a little bit and truly understand what you believe you are doing and who you believe.
Yes, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
Represent. Just really briefly, who you believe you represent when you go on these shows. You say we a lot, and I'm not sure who you are referring to when you say we.
Hey, that's a good question. I'm actually curious about the answer.
Is it yourself? Is it you?
And Anna Transphobia?
Is it Anna and you and Anna? Is it all of TYT? Is it the broader left? Who do you think you represent when you go on these shows to make the case about how there's...
And what does represent in this context mean? Because usually when we talk about representation, the idea is that the person doing the representing is accountable to the people being represented, and is supposed to represent their will, and if their will is unknown, then at least their interests.
Commonality.
Yeah. So, great question again. So, first off, for folks who don't know, Young Turks is the flagship show of the TYT network. So, the TYT network is the whole left. So,
no, it isn't.
TYT network.
Yeah, it's the whole left, really. Well, except for like the trans people and people who want prison abolition and want to get rid of the cops.
And at least on the podcasting side. And so Franny is to the left of me on many issues. So is Jordan Ewell. So is so many other people, right? And so I never block anyone from stating their opinions.
I have to say, I love her hair.
I like that we have the whole range, right? And in the past,
you don't have the whole range, though.
David Pakman as part of the net, like the YouTube network broadly.
But who's the we, Cenk? Who's the we?
Yeah, he's not actually like the whole left my ass.
You've said these things before, and I have thoughts on them. But who's the we?
So that's TYT. TYT is that whole spectrum.
Yeah, but is we TYT or like
of left-wing thought? And as you know, Franny, we debate on the show all the time.
We don't. We really like. I just want to be fair. Like, we don't. Because if we did, we would have had this conversation many, many times, but we don't. Number one, I am not the main host. Anna Kasparian is. Number two, I am rarely the fill-in host. Jordan Ewell has been filling in quite frequently. Number three, when I do fill in as a host or as a guest...
I did not know that she actually... but she got him on the channel, so I guess that says...
Depending on the story is when we can actually sometimes maybe squeeze in 1 or 3 minutes of debate, but we have to keep it moving. That is the job. The job is to do the news. It's to get to all the different things. So I just want to say that it's very unfair to say that these debates have happened on the main show. Certainly
okay.
Not with me. Maybe once around trans issues, but I want to leave that...
yeah, and that sucked. Yeah, there should not have... That debate should not have been.
But who is we? Who are you saying when you say we?
Okay, but let me address that real quick. But
Oh no.
yes, but I've gotten into so. First of all, we do the news, so we debate within that news story.
He really does not want to answer this question.
Is it a shorter period of time? Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah, which is the thing is like to have a meaningful debate on issues that require a certain amount of depth and complexity. 3 minutes isn't gonna do it.
Longer ones. I did a longer one with Jordan Yule and Jules Suzdayev, etc. And here we are within the network, etc. So now that's TYT is the left in general. Young Turks is the flagship show. That's me and.
Okay, now he's just repeating himself. Like he still hasn't said who we is when he keeps on talking about we.
Anna. And so.
She's getting annoyed.
I would say that we, as in me and Anna,
rightly
are,
so.
Maximum populace, but.
I didn't think that the word populism could be shittier, but adding maximum to it?
Not maximum left, right? So I am maximum left on some issues.
Like, what does that mean, though? What the fuck is maximum left? See, this is why, hey, Badger, how you doing? I mean, when you hear people just talking about left in like relative degrees without giving any kind of definition to things, like, you know, if you're amongst like people who are legit, you know, on what I would consider the left, which is to say like revolutionary anti-capitalist of various stripes, that is my definition. That is what I think is the only way the term is useful, because when you use it any other way, it ends up being just confusing, a great way to obfuscate, as Cenk does. But the thing is, when you hear people just saying, "Ooh, I'm very far left on this thing. I am less far left on this thing," or something like that, and not ever actually like giving some sort of an ideological definition to the thing so you can understand where they're coming from, that's a lib, usually.
But not all issues. And so those are two different political spectrums. There's a left-right spectrum and the establishment populist spectrum. I mean, now
they're not. Those aren't separate spectrums, because none of those things actually make any sense.
Now see Emma Vigeland defending the establishment, which is mind-blowing.
They're defending what establishment?
Ari, I want to leave that aside, but
I kind of want to know what he means by defending the establishment. Like, what establishment is he talking about? Does anyone have any idea what he might be talking about, chat? I haven't watched the Majority Report in a while.
I just want to, because I really want to talk about what you are doing and what you believe you are doing, and I want to just explain, by showing. And I want to ask you what you think the goal is of.
He is not used to not being in control of the mic, and you can tell.
But here was a moment where you were on TPUSA.
Like, look at his face. This guy. He isn't really listening to the question. He's just looking for his opportunity to jump in. I mean, he's like, it's like he's taking a lead off to steal a base.
I'm talking on Turning Point USA conference, and Charlie Kirk, who is a Christian nationalist. He's an avowed Christian nationalist. TPUSA has had wildly racist and white supremacist.
Every time I hear the name abbreviated, Turning Point USA abbreviated, I just can't help thinking of that Beavis and Butthead thing, the Great Cornholio. I need TPUSA for my bunghole USA.
Supremacists associated with them, including inviting people like Nick Fuentes to speak.
They're not.
No matter what you think of his thoughts on BlackRock, here is him asking you about left media. And I gotta say, Cenk, this one sucked real hard for me.
Okay.
And you
here we go.
I think I've been using these opportunities to talk a lot about the left to the right.
Which is already not great.
The left has some work to do in developing over-the-top media to be able to bypass the main networks.
Yeah, so we have TYT as a giant network, but we have a lot of great progressive and populist shows that are not part of TYT, that's in the left-wing ecosystem.
I just want to stop and say I'm excited to hear which ones you like, given.
Yeah, I'm also kind of curious how he he uses these terms so vaguely, progressive and populist. These terms are always vague as shit. It's always completely unclear what any of the shit means. So, I'd like to hear him give an example of a progressive one and a populist one.
That you just sort of insulted Emma Vigeland just now, and curious which ones you actually do still support that aren't your own, but I'm going to keep going, Cenk. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, I do see where the heated part comes in.
I don't think that that's the issue. I don't think that there isn't enough shows. I think that there's a couple others. One, on the right, you guys do a great job of coalescing. Okay, so you do a couple of things well. You work together.
Well, no, they don't. This is him saying things. No one. This is him saying things that directly contradict what he was just saying. But they don't coalesce well. They just they're dependent on money, and the money dictates the talking points.
Well, and you're more welcoming, if I'm being honest.
No, they aren't.
We're glad Cenk's here, right, everybody?
Oh God, it takes so little for him to be.
And a lot of people on the left know this as well. If you agree with MAGA 5%, the answer you get is welcome.
God, Tim Pool says this kind of bullshit. And yeah, because now how welcome would you feel if you, say, agreed with them 5% and you were one of the various groups of people they think shouldn't exist?
Right? Come join us, right? On the left, if you disagree 5%, they go, get out of here, you're a right.
Fuck off. No, that's not how that works. He's talking about it like you can do this in percentages. Because the thing is, it's like, what are you disagreeing on? That's what matters.
Right winger, you're a fascist, right? But if you push enough people out and you guys welcome enough people in, eventually you win the popular vote. That's what I want.
No, God. Yeah, he's trying to make this about of course he's trying to make that about electoral politics. He's a fucking lib. But, oh God, what was the benefit of doing this? I hope she asks him that, because, yeah, this sucks in so many levels.
And that's what happened, right?
Okay, so there you are, and,
yeah, at a meeting full of neo-Nazis talking about how welcoming they are. He was talking a minute ago about about token Muslims who support Zionist talking points and stuff like that. Support that who suck up to people who actually kind of want them dead. And he goes on to a meeting of just white supremacists and neo-Nazis and talks about how welcoming they are and how shitty the left is. How is that not the thing that you said that you would never countenance, Cenk?
No.
Yeah, I love it. Stick with 100% of what I just said there. I'm 100% right about that. So let's discuss.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's so great that he thinks he's 100% right. I get the feeling that Cenk feels that he's 100% right a lot of the time.
Yeah, let's discuss. You had your say there, and you've been saying various degrees of that same thing. And I gotta say, I watched this whole, I watched the whole clip, and it started off, and I was like, this is pretty good. This is good. Pretty good interview. I like that you're sitting down. Wasn't bad. This moment, truly a part of me died when I watched this.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah. Oh, super. Just shriveled up and died, floated away into the ocean. Here's what happens.
Yeah, because you're telling a bunch of Nazis how welcoming they are. You're just blowing fucking sunshine up their asshole.
Couple things. He asks you about left-wing media and why there isn't more left-wing media.
Because everybody doing it's fucking broke. Oh, speaking of fucking broke, I do not subscribe to this dickhead. But I've looked at enough of his shit on stream that YouTube sends me his posts now. Weedlord apparently may be giving up the stream because he's not bringing in enough money. And it seems that Xanderhole also, it seems that a year of just standing Genocide Joe to the hilt may not have been great for his finances, because, he's apparently in trouble too. in both cases, probably less trouble than I'm in, but...
Which already, as you were there, you know, in the sort of kingdom of turning
Neo-Nazis.
points, is like, that's such a dig. Like, why are you guys so weak, is effectively what he's saying.
Yeah.
And instead of pointing out the way that TPUSA has been bankrolled by Republican mega donors out of Chicago and many other places for years now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go to SourceWatch and you just go down the rabbit hole of looking at the big right-wing foundations, all the big right-wing foundations are funding this media ecosystem. That's where their message discipline comes from, and that's where their reach comes from. They got shitloads of money being thrown at them.
And talking about how the Daily Wire was funded by the Fracking brothers, the Wilkes brothers. Now they're fishing for new, investors, whatnot. But that there is so much money on the right. He handed this answer to you on a fucking platter, and all you said was, you know what? You guys are really good at being welcoming.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Oh wow, he looks like he just ate a grapefruit.
People just like you, Cenk. They've got all the money.
I didn't say people just
what
like
are you
me. That's very
talking about? That's effectively what you're good at coalescing. And here's my question to you about so that's just number one on the media, because that just stings, because I'm in media.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The reason that they've got the production values and they've got all these fucking channels, they got this huge fucking ecosystem, is they can afford to pay people to do their bullshit full time. That's why that works. Because and for him not to even talk about that.
But on the 5%, if you disagree with MAGA 5%, they still welcome you. How did that work out for Liz Cheney?
Yeah. So look, is there a part of MAGA that'll push you out?
Yeah, and fuck Liz Cheney, actually. How does that work out if the thing you disagree about is that, say, you're trans and you feel you should have rights? You would be lucky to come out of one of those meetings alive, actually. Let's say, or, let's say your disagreement is you're black and you don't think that assholes on the subway should be allowed to just strangle you for no reason. I don't think you'd feel very welcome by the response. Like, I mean, what the fuck is he talking about? This is literally a talking point I've seen Tim Pool make. And so, oh wow, I've freeze framed him beautifully. Chat, do look at Cenk on freeze frame here. Actually, both of the faces, it's a beautiful tableau.
Of course, that's what we know.
When do they push you out, Cenk? When do they push you out?
Largely when you disagree with Trump.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, the thing is, yeah, to some extent, but also, if you're not the right ethnicity, if you're not the right gender, if you're not the right sexuality, if you're not the right nationality, if you're the wrong religion, they push people out for all sorts of things. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? We're talking about white supremacists. I have a feeling they make a lot of people feel unwelcome. I have a feeling that the people who want to deport millions of people will leave aside the chances of them being able to do it, because those, like, big-ass raids have a long history of failing, specifically because everyone knows about them in advance and nobody in these targeted communities talks twice. But, like, the people who say, yeah, we want to deport you, I would say they're not very welcoming. And I think deep down, like, he can't not know that. When they talk about they want to, like, denaturalize people who they find suspect, I mean, as he said, he's a naturalized citizen, and he's definitely got a lot of characteristics that they would consider suspect, regardless of all the bullshit he agrees with them on. Like, he has to know that, and he's sucking up to them.
Listen,
this is the thing that it's the unspoken thing that you're never saying, that ultimately it's all hunky-dory. Elon can tweet back at you. Vivek can listen to you. But if you defy Donald Trump, the God Emperor, you're kicked out of the castle. And no one's defending Liz Cheney. Screw both their castle and the other castle. But Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 98% of the time, and just the 1% when she was like, hey, you know what? You can't do a coup on this country. And Adam...
Yeah, although, I mean... I can actually kind of understand that one, because what she did and what a bunch of other people around Trump did was they jumped from a sinking ship. They realized that this was a moment where it would be really good for their careers if they were not associated with that prick. And so they jumped. And it worked out really fucking well for them. So I can understand a certain amount of animosity there, because it was pure opportunism. It wasn't disagreement. It wasn't principle. It was opportunism. They saw a greener pasture and they took it.
Kissinger, and they were gone. So miss me with this 5% BS, yo.
So, all right, Franny, a whole bunch of things here. So, number one, you're right. That's definitely how Turning Point started. Daily Wire certainly started that way.
Yeah, it's also how they've continued. And, like, that is still their fucking revenue flow.
Their current funding is, but they seem to have a lot more funding than any of us do. So you're right, and I have said that in the past, and I probably should have.
Yes, but why didn't you say it there? Why didn't you just say in front of this guy's audience, yeah, I mean, of course you've got more of a presence despite the fact that you're actually much less popular. You got shitloads of money, and that buys reach.
That in there, in that particular appearance, and I will mention that, and that'll really grate on their nerves, but I've got no problems telling their audience, and I tell them all the time.
Well, I mean, let's see a clip of that then, because that we saw you having problems telling their audience that, and it would have been a really good time to do it. Like, why? I mean, he went out of his way. He's somebody whose whole thing is having talking points to embarrass people like this. That's kind of like what TYT is for, to a certain extent. I mean, if you're given that platform, the least you can do is make them regret giving you that platform. That's the absolute least you can do. The least you can do is embarrass the shit out of them. I mean, and he did not. He very much went out of his way to make them comfortable. Fuck that.
No, you guys have way more money, and they're always shocked by that. And I'm like,
they're not shocked by it. They're not shocked by it. The people he's talking to aren't shocked. Remember, fucking Steven Crowder turned down a $50 million deal. The guy doesn't have any skills. He doesn't have any fucking talent. He doesn't know how to do anything. He's just an asshole. That's his whole thing, is he's an asshole. They were willing to throw $50 million at him for the sole service of being an asshole in front of a microphone. And he turned that shit down. They know how much fucking money they've got. Look at the bullshit they're spending it on, like Daily Wire and their fucking, their whole, Nazi consumer goods grift, where it's here, we've got a white nationalist razor, subscription-based, so it'll come out of your account no matter how many times you actually want one. And we've got subscription-based white nationalist chocolates and subscription-based soap that isn't gay. I mean, does that sound like they don't know how much money they have? That they're spending it on that kind of bullshit?
Swimming in money and don't realize how much we're starving out here on the left, right?
Sure.
So...
they may not realize that because, it would kind of fuck with their conspiracies. Their entire worldview is that there's some sort of conspiracy that is making all this happening. Soros is paying us all and all this bullshit. It's I mean... So, okay, they might actually be surprised about that.
And I talked on Tim Pool's show about that, etc. Now, when it comes to the 5%, 95%, yeah, I hear you. So it's that when you disagree with Trump, especially in the past, especially in the first term, etc., you're a gun.
I mean, and this is both missing the point, because they're if he were to show up, he shows up and he's, he's just wearing a regular ass suit, you'd see at a fucking golf game or something. If he showed up wearing something, if he showed up wearing a fucking turban or something, they might have a different view of him. They might be a little bit less welcome. if he showed up, like, let's say he decided to do drag. I'm not suggesting it. I don't want to see it. But let's say he did, just for the hell of it, just for the fucking memes, just to see what would happen. You think they'd be welcoming then?
Right? But they are pushing back even on Trump now. So, and again, on things that we don't agree with, but on COVID, for example, they thought that Trump did too much COVID protections, etc.
And the wild thing is, the deeply fucked up thing is, about the situation we're in, is that the year that he was fucking up COVID, there was way more being done about it than in, like, the subsequent years. And there was nowhere near enough being done. It was being comprehensively fucked up, but at least there was, like, some pretense of doing something. Then Biden's campaign consultants told him in the midterms, you should just pretend that there isn't COVID anymore and declare it a victory, and it would really help you in the midterms. And he did that shit. And lots of people are dead because of it.
And there was, and this is really encouraging. When I talk about Team Miriam, Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, and Mike Waltz, so those are the four that put in by the neocons put in by Miriam Adelson. In the old days, what I would have gotten Franny is, no way, they're the greatest, they're not neocons, you're a liar, Trump's the best. Now what I'm getting from the right-wing host, which is amazing, and
God, like, oh God, it's like he is doing the exact wrong. Like, there is outreach to be done with the base, specifically to drive wedges between them and the people that he likes to talk with and suck up to. Like, what he's doing is, like, he's just talking to the grifters and then he sucks up to the grifters. Like, the one good thing that he could possibly do if he really wanted to throw a wedge in the far right and, like, fuck up their shit is to actually use those platforms to embarrass them. Use those platforms to just absolutely humiliate them and talk about the ridiculous amounts of money that they throw around and just absolutely fucking clown on them. I mean, he might get it, but the thing is, I think he also possibly knows maybe he'd get his ass kicked coming out of there because they're so fucking welcoming. But, I mean, that would still be more useful, less harmful than this bullshit.
They're all saying, yeah, I hear you. We got concerns about them. We got concerns, okay? So
which means nothing! God, he is such a cheap date.
Thing I never heard before. So that is a change. Now, in terms
there have been right-wingers who had concerns about neocons for a long time. They're called paleocons. They're like people like fucking Ron Paul and those assholes. And the thing is that what they want instead of the horrible neocon shit isn't better. What they want is just Nazi shit. I mean, the debates that you look at when you actually look at the reactionaries that he's, like, sucking up to in that clip are not good debates. They're like the debates that they had at the Nuremberg Party conference around how the Nuremberg laws were supposed to be. It's like, I mean, yes, there are disagreements, vehement disagreements sometimes, and both sides suck and should, like, fall into molten magma.
Concept that I'm referring to, the 5%, 95%. But Franny, we're in the middle of that right now. This is the perfect example. So I started the largest progressive network. I've given, dozens of progressives opportunities they didn't have before. I started Just Democrats, et cetera, et cetera. The minute I disagree, like 5% on...
He didn't even get the name of his own grift right. It's Justice Democrats, not Just Democrats. Just Democrats is what I call them because they're just Democrats.
Crime, everybody's like, right way, fash, right way. Almost every show saying that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. You suggest that maybe trans people should be thrown under the bus, and suddenly people call you a reactionary.
So you're telling me that you don't push people out? You're pushing out the movement overall, at least the online left movement, seems to be trying to push out the one network that has helped progressives more than...
So it's like he didn't want to suck up to Nazis and tell them how welcoming they are and slag off trans people and oppose trans rights and all that stuff. He didn't want to do that. The left forced him to do it. Oh God, fucking Davo Olavo.
Any other network, and it's not in dispute. But my God, we have 5% disagreement. So tear it down, tear it.
Well, yeah, and this is why that's such bullshit. Because the thing is, there are like fundamental things. There are like matters of fundamental principle. Like, do marginalized people get to be treated with respect, or are you going to throw them under the bus? And maybe quantitatively, that is a small percentage of the takes you have. But it's a shitty take, and it is not acceptable. And the fact is, the pushback was way milder than he deserved, precisely because he has played so much of a role in so many people's fucking media careers.
Down. This is destructive, extreme left that I honestly.
The destructive extreme left.
That.
Yeah, well, are you gonna give us an example, Cenk?
Pushing that kind of destructive attitude is poison.
The destructive attitude that slagging off trans people is bad.
It's not just poison to us, it's poison to our chances of winning. Because we keep pushing people out, we keep pushing...
You pushed like one of the few trans people you employ out, and you slagged her off viciously on Twitter when she made her statement about why she was resigning. Who's pushing people out, Cenk?
People out, and then all of a sudden we lost all the swing states and we lost the popular vote. I'm trying to get our side to wake up, snap out of our hypnosis of we hate. And if we hate the right wing, and they're all white supremacists.
Well, they are white supremacists. That is one of their unifying positions. And the fact that you go and you suck up to them and you, like, sacrifice trans people in order to show that you're cool, that doesn't make you good. That doesn't make them good. That makes you suck more.
And they're all racist, and they're all sexist, and we hate.
They are!
And we never go in the room with them. We hate.
Yeah, fuck them. What the fuck do you think you won? What did you gain for anyone but maybe your own fucking career by going and sharing a platform in a room full of white nationalists and neo-Nazis and telling them how welcoming they are? I get you,
What the hell happened to us? And no one's allowed to disagree.
Who's us?
We're now authoritarian. No.
You are. I mean, didn't they... Wait a second, before I say this, let me just make sure that I'm not confusing it with somebody else. Yeah, they were like busting, he tried to bust a union. But he's not authoritarian.
No,
wait, Cenk, can I just clarify?
I will never allow the left to be authoritarian.
I will never allow the left to be authoritarian. That kind of sounds like he thinks he's the king of the left? I mean, leaving aside just what bullshit that statement is, because he's actually quite authoritarian. I mean, leaving that aside for a second, the idea that it comes down to him allowing something or not allowing something actually is a little bit authoritarian, my dude.
And this idea of just hating the other side is poison.
Well, I mean, the thing is that a lot of us, they hate us just because we exist. There's like literally nothing we can do that will make them hate us less.
You know what's so funny about you calling the left authoritarian?
Yeah, and then saying, I will not allow the left to be authoritarian.
Is that you think the left has power. Like...
Yeah. I mean, there's that too.
I love that you...
total nonsense.
We are on the precipice of real authoritarianism, and...
We, see... And there I have to disagree with her, because the thing is... It isn't like flicking a switch. Now, some electrical engineer or physicist will say actually flicking a switch is results in a very much more nuanced process than it looks like on the outside. But the thing is, we've been moving towards authoritarian authoritarianism in this country for decades. From one administration to the next, it doesn't matter who's in power on this, there has been this movement. Clinton was doing it, and then Bush took advantage of 9/11 and went way in on there. All that stuff was maintained under Obama, who actually pushed things even further, and it's been getting pushed further and further. Like, this already is a very authoritarian place, and it started out as pretty authoritarian.
Real fascism, and you believe that the online left are the authoritarians? I mean, I don't know how to tell you. You sound like Bill Maher and Nancy Pelosi had.
Well, he does. He really does.
Had a kid, and it came out Cenk Uygur, and
yeah. I mean, actually, on some of the things he said, he sounds more like like he's literally just saying shit Tim Pool says all the time.
Let me just ask you. So what shows on the left do you like that aren't on the TYT network?
Okay, that isn't the question I would have gone with, but let's hear it.
Yeah, so I said, look, there's a lot of good popular shows on the left that I like.
Like what? You said populist and progressive, which apparently, I mean, these terms are not only vague but also like mean separate things for him. But he hasn't given an example of what either of them is.
And it's because there are. So.
Like what? She's asking you which ones.
Breaking Point's a good show. Kyle Kalinski's Secular Talk is a good show. He was against me going on MAGA.
Kyle Kalinski actually has been actually, if you were here for the beginning when I was going through some of the stuff I've got in my reaction fodder playlist, Kyle Kalinski's also having a go on Cenk and his right-wing bullshit.
I haven't seen his video, but Kyle's been against us a couple of times. But I largely didn't hold a grudge on that.
Wait, let me just stop you. First of all, you had a great conversation with Crystal Ball. I think she made some really good points to you on. I think it was on Breaking Points. Kyle has, I think, been very disturbed, especially by your appearance with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
But what you just said there, they've been against us.
Yeah, again, because he's not authoritarian. He would not allow authoritarianism on the left. If he finds that you're doing authoritarianism on the left, he's gonna fucking ground you.
I really want to just dig into this idea that, because you're a fighter, man. That's cool. That's great.
Yeah, except look who he's fighting.
But like, you really do have a very I almost want to call it Bush-like.
I mean, yeah, I can see it.
Cheney, like, you're with us or against us attitude.
It's true. I mean, and that is just one of the many reasons. I can see why she's saying that this got heated. I mean, we're 25 minutes into it, and she's already pointing out just how completely full of shit his whole thing is. And the best part is she's doing this from a position of actually trying to preserve a relationship, is what I'm feeling. I mean, she's not really tearing into him. She's just observing obvious things.
100% wrong.
Wow. See, that's how you show that you're not into absolutes. When somebody says something like that, you say that they're 100% wrong.
I mean, like, you just literally, I love that you're proving my point, but
No, he's not. No, you're not.
You say this, you truly, you sound like people are either against you, but if they criticize you, they are not. And yet, here you are, Cenk, telling the entire right wing.
Look at him. He's like a fucking 5-year-old who doesn't want to listen. Look at the way he's just...
All you want to do is break bread with them, that you want to debate with them, but afterwards...
And tell them how fucking welcoming they are.
You want to go have a beer.
Yes, I do.
You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps.
Well, I mean, let's just remember, he has supported for election people who put people in mass deportation camps.
Want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound... Alright, anyway.
I mean, the people are already in camps, Cenk. Maybe TYT hasn't noticed it because it was under Biden, but the camps are still there. Biden built more of the fuckers. Ich glaube, er ist schon dabei. Also er wird wahrscheinlich sich nie so ausdrücklich definieren. Das bezweifle ich. Denn das wäre also karrieremäßig wahrscheinlich das aus. Aber andererseits, also bietet er schleimt sich halt bei denen ein. Er schleimt sich bei Nazis ein.
Anyway.
You think I sound crazy? They're starting with Chinese people. That's my fucking family, dog. Like, what are you talking about?
That's such an excuse. Okay, no, they're gonna start with Muslims. They're gonna start.
Well, yeah, okay, so same point though, Cenk. You're breaking bread and sucking up to people who would like to strip you of your citizenship and kick you out of the country. Oh my god. Look at this freeze frame. Like, the blur makes him look like that Charlie Kirk meme where they make his face even smaller than it is relative to his head. Like, enjoy the freeze frame for a second, chat.
Start with my people. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Stop hiding behind vulnerable communities.
I'm hiding.
What do you mean hiding behind vulnerable communities? Like, one of the other communities that they're really kind of coming for is just women in general.
Behind vulnerable communities.
Yes, you are. You're using
I'm
them as
standing
human
in
shields.
front of vulnerable communities, Jake.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Wait, okay.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm in front of vulnerable communities.
Yeah, selling them out. See, I don't think people have become docile. I mean, if you look at the past, like, 13 years, or I guess 14 now, from Occupy until, like, the past, in the decade subsequent to that, what you find is a period of escalating, both quantitatively and qualitatively, mass mobilizations from the working class. I mean, in terms of militancy, in terms of numbers, like, shit has been kicking off, and you don't see a lot of it. Like, the stuff that's going on in Atlanta around Cop City is hardcore shit. I mean, both in terms of the repression and in terms of the resistance. I don't think people have become more docile at all. I think people have become a lot less docile, and that's precisely why the only thing the Democrats ever seem to want to do is throw cops at things and just drown cops in money. Because they know that this is going to kick off properly, that really 2020 was just a fucking hors d'oeuvre.
By tweeting at Elon Musk? Please, don't help me. Come on, Jake, this is so sad.
It is.
That's so sad.
Let's
take it down. Let's simmer down. No. Simmer down.
Yeah, simmer down.
Let me just ask you real honest to God.
You already said 12 things that I need to
honest to
respond
God.
to. Can I respond to them?
No, she's saying no. Like, wait, motherfucker. Do what you always do and just wait till the next time you talk and pretend to listen. But, like, visibly be, like, biting your tongue.
No, I want to ask you this one question.
No, of course not.
Let's talk about you going on these shows. Just simmer down. Let me ask you one question. Imagine if Kamala Harris had won. Okay? She wins. She wins the popular vote. She wins obviously the Electoral College. Incredible, first female president, blah, 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 all this stuff. And Tucker Carlson started making all these rounds.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what the fucking question is.
On, like, really, like, progressive leftist shows, went on Kyle's show, went on my show. I'm like, who the hell? Started reaching out.
I mean, I would think so much less of both her and Kyle if they let that motherfucker on there.
and wanting to talk and wanting to come to agreement on things. What would that look like to you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it would look like Tucker was trying to reach out. Tucker's a bad example because I would be surprised if he did that. But okay, yeah.
No, actually, I would not be surprised because he's been doing a version of that, except he isn't going on other people's shit. He brings them on, people who seem like they will be willing to sort of go along with his grift. people who, in some way or other, appear to fit in ideologically with what he's trying to do, even if they disagree with him on other things, at least ostensibly. He's actually a good example, although I wouldn't see him so much going on other people's shit as trying to bring them on his. But I would, either way, I would think much less of anyone who took him up on it.
No problem.
What would it
But
look
I
like to you?
care. I wouldn't. Well, do I think that Tucker would be selling out? No. There's no.
No. Well, I'm not. It's not about selling out.
It's interesting that he's the first one to bring that into the conversation, though.
What would that like? What would it just seem like? Hey, man, we can agree. Yeah, you know what? I did say that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire and she's basically a communist, but now I just feel like I've antagonized you and I'm here to like break bread.
Yeah, just because I said that you're part of the Jewish world conspiracy and that maybe that guy in the mid-20th century should have finished the job, that doesn't mean we can't work together now.
And let's talk and let's get stuff done. What would that look like to you?
It would look surprising, but I wouldn't care. I'd find it interesting. Why?
Well, okay, he's really trying to avoid this question. He does not like this question.
What does it look like to you?
I mean, to me, if Tucker Carlson did that, I'd be like, oh, we fucking won. We won like crazy. We won so resoundingly. He's doing an apology tour because 3 ghosts visited him in the middle of the night. And
yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would say that. I would say that clearly he's realized that there is butter to be had on his bread over here, and that he needs to sort of reorientate himself.
Completely changed his tune because he wants to throw down with the winners.
Sorry.
We are crushing it. And I saw in that moment, do you want me to play it for you? When Charlie Kirk goes, "We're glad James here, everybody."
Yeah, exactly. He was fucking crowing.
And that was the feeling that I think a lot of right-wingers have when they look at you, Cenk, where they're like,
yeah, in fact, you can see it on Twitter. The right-winger, it's like fucking Nazis are the ones who are actually really love-bombing him at the moment. And this motherfucker is so arrogant and so completely lacking in insight that he thinks that the love-bombing is real. He probably thinks the strippers fancy him, too. But on that note, I just noticed the time. It is time to wrap up for tonight. I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And I hope to see you all there. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And if you enjoyed the stream, please consider supporting me with by joining my Patreon, by subscribing on YouTube, by signal boosting me and letting other people know who you think might be into it. And I'll see you tomorrow. And maybe we'll continue with this. I'm finding this very interesting indeed. I think this one actually merits continuation. See you tomorrow in the evening. Oh, you're not hijacking anything. It's an interesting question, and it's one that I think we need to talk. That is worth talking about. I don't know that we've become more docile with the. I don't have time to really get into it on this. But if you look at what's happened with the advent of the internet and why the ruling class has been getting really big onto the censorship of it, the trouble is we're seeing each other without media mediation. And we're realizing that we're not anywhere near as alone as we were in being pissed off at these ruling class ghouls. Look at the whole United CEO thing. We're not, I don't think, more docile. I think that we're actually realizing that we are in fairly extensive company with our pissed offedness at these ghouls. Have a good night, and see you tomorrow. And it is an excellent question, Badger, and I'm glad you asked it.